Well, Mr. Trump, Eric Trump, thank you very much for talking to us at Sky, and welcome to Scotland. Welcome to the UK. Your family likes the UK. I get the sense that you like being here. Your father likes being here.
Well, I don't think there's any two Americans who have probably spent more time in this part of the world than the two of us. And obviously, we have Trump International Scotland, where we are right now, and we have Trump Turnberry on the other side of the country. And in Ireland, we have wonderful property as well, Trump Ireland. And so we just we spend a lot of time in the area, the region, and we love the people. We've invested hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars here. We've built some of the greatest golf courses on earth. Some of the best ranked golf courses on earth, and we love this part of the world.
What about the new British government? Because they've had a few choice words about your father in the past.
Listen,
what did David Lammy say? That he was a neo-Nazi sympathising sociopath.
Honestly, I try and stay out of politics in other people's countries, and I generally prefer when people stay out of politics in ours. Politics is rough. Politics is nasty. There's crazy people on both sides of the aisle, typically speaking. And, I'm sure you take a government as large as the government in the UK, and you're going to have people that run their mouths and say crazy things, and that's fine. You
talk about politics being rough. It really was 3 weeks ago, that assassination attempt on your father. You've talked a little bit about it. I wonder if you could take us back to that moment. You were watching live, I understand, with your family. Is that right?
Well, I go to a lot of his rallies. I love being with the man, and that day I decided to stay home because my kids were going to be gone, because it was right before the RNC convention. I was going to be gone for the next 5-6 days, so I just decided to spend the day with my children, and the TVs were carrying it live. And I had my kids in my lap, and my wife was in the room, and that's when we heard the shots, and saw him grab his ear and have all the guys dive on him.
In that period when the shots were fired and he went down, did you think he was dead?
You certainly think the worst, or at least presume sometimes the worst, right? I mean, here's what I can tell you. It's never good when you have blood coming out of the side of your ear, right? In life, that's not a good thing. And there's also, head's a pretty small area with not a lot of area, right? I mean, the chances of a bullet just grazing an ear, probably defy statistics. But the guy's remarkable. He stood back up. I got my kids out of the room because I didn't want them to see their grandfather assassinated on live TV. And
I was going to say, what did they do?
Well, they're young. They're 4 and 6, and thank God for maybe children's ADD, right? They're watching, but their heads all over the place. But you were about a quarter of an inch from that day being a very different day. That could have gone very different, and not just for myself, not just for our family, not just for the kids that were sitting on my lap, but also for the Western world. I really mean that. Could you imagine a former United States president assassinated? Could you imagine a person who was very likely to be the next president of the United States assassinated? It can't happen.
Did it change him?
I know a lot of people over the years have gotten bad cancer, stage 4, and they've come very close, and they pull through, they go into remission, and all of a sudden they are a different person. And I've seen that with people in car accidents. I'm sure you have as well. I'm sure everybody watching us right now probably has. And do I think that creates a humbleness in a person? Absolutely. Could life have been very, very different? Could that convention that we were just talking about, not have existed 48 hours later? Absolutely. I think that probably puts what's, important in life in perspective. At the same time, he pops off that stage, and what does he do? Fight, fight, fight. Fight, fight, fight.
There's no denying that his reaction was extraordinary, and it's not something that anyone could necessarily predict how they would react in that moment, to get up, put his fist up and shout, fight, fight, fight. But in the environment that America is in at the moment, does he accept that those words, fight, 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 will have different interpretations? People will take away a different messages from those words, and potentially it could be very dangerous in a country where, I see the division all the time.
That can't be a serious question. I mean,
why not?
The guy just had a bullet put in his ear, and you want to talk about, healing division. I mean, respectfully, they just took a shot at him.
Yeah.
They tried to end his life. They tried to take him out of all of our lives. They tried to change U.S. history. They did that on the eve of his convention, with less than 100 days to go before the election. They did everything they could to try and take him out. Try and ruin his reputation, try and destroy his family, try and separate his family, try to bankrupt him, try and imprison him, and then they tried to kill him. And
Well, hang on. Who's they? Because I mean, you say that they tried to impeach him. That you're referring to the Democrats there, and then they tried to kill him. The Democrats didn't try to kill him.
Well, listen, I can't imagine. I can't imagine the person that tried to shoot him in the head was a diehard Republican, but by any means. But no, he's a madman. There's no question about it. He was an absolute madman. But no, they did try to imprison him, the Democrats, and they did try and bankrupt him, and they did try and destroy her family, and they did launch absolute, political warfare against him. Yeah, you better believe that was the Democrats that did all of those things. Yes.
But by wrapping all that in together, do you appreciate that there is a danger that you are furthering the rhetoric, a rhetoric which caused that moment in itself?
Joe Biden, 2 days before my father had a bullet put through his ear, put up a tweet saying, we need to put a bullseye on Donald Trump's head. Would you say that's appropriate rhetoric?
Well, he said he regretted that later.
Yeah, great. After the guy's bleeding from the side of his face. I'm thankful for the fact that he regrets it at that point. Okay. A little too late. I honestly, I think everybody's got to take down the rhetoric in the country, but I think irrespective of all of that, first of all, presidents need to be kept safe, and what happened should never happen again. Second of all, our country needs a fighter. People know Donald Trump's that guy, and they sure as hell know that Kamala Harris is not, because she's been incompetent in just about everything that she's taken on in Washington, D.C.
Well, you bring up Kamala Harris, and you talk about everyone needs to lower the rhetoric. But it doesn't sound very much as though your father has lowered the rhetoric on his side. I mean, just on Kamala Harris, the other day he questioned her racial background. Is she Indian? Is she black? I mean, that doesn't sound like it's lowering the tension. That sounds like a dog whistle.
Yeah, and she's going out saying that she'd prosecute him and put him in jail and go after him criminally because that's what she did her entire career, and she's willing to do it again. So I mean, it doesn't exactly sound like she's lowering the rhetoric either.
No, but I'm not. I would ask her the same thing if she was sitting here. But I'm asking you about the Trump team's rhetoric, because what did he mean by that when he said, is she black? Is she Indian? I mean, it's quite clear what she is. She's got a black father. She's got an Indian mother. So what was he getting at?
I don't know what Kamala is. What I do know is she's incompetent. She's done a horrible job. She's put in charge of the southern border. She hasn't done a damn thing about it. I love America more than any country in the world. We are an American family that does not need to be doing this. Believe me, my job over here building the most incredible golf courses in the world is far easier. But at the same time, you have pure incompetence that's running our country into the ground, and it cannot continue to happen. And it's a threat for America, and it's a threat for the entire Western world.
The Democrats themselves seem to think she was pretty useless, and up until the point at which they decided that she is the candidate. You're painting her as not a strong candidate at all. So I wonder why the polls are still so close. Why is Donald Trump not doing much better?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, I think that the mainstream media and the United States has put her on this pedestal. It's a fake pedestal, right? No different than the pedestal that they put Joe Biden on.
Do you accept, though, regardless of who you blame for this, that the momentum right now is with the Democrats and with Kamala Harris?
Well, it depends on how you define the momentum. Within the country? Within the people of our country? No, the momentum's not. You see her events, and I'll draw more people to an event than Kamala Harris will. Within the media, yeah, absolutely, the momentum's with Kamala because, for the media, it's anybody other than Donald Trump.
I travel around America a lot. I was in Nebraska not all that long ago talking to big fans of the Republican Party, of Donald Trump. But the one thing that a lot of them said to me, honestly, is that they wish he'd keep his mouth shut. They like his policies, but he's just a bit too loose with his mouth. And there's a civility, there's a lack of civility with him. And I wonder, actually, you bring up the last debate. He was different in that debate against Joe Biden. He was quieter. He let Joe Biden kind of, perform as he did on his own. And I wonder why we don't see a bit more of that. Whether you think that might, as a son, whether you tell your dad, just relax, chill out. Less of that is actually going to be helpful to us.
Listen, I think everybody has a different personality type, but I also think you can't necessarily always take the fighter out of the fighter, and And I say that in the greatest possible way. I think he's the greatest fighter our country's ever seen. And I think, frankly, right now our country needs a fighter more than ever before. And, could you go to Mike Tyson and say, don't quite hit as hard, right? Don't, just hold back, throw 10% of punches. It's, people's DNA are their DNA, and he's a guy who believes in counter-punching, and it's who he is. And hey, guess what? Across his life, he's done awfully well. Do I think a bullet whizzing past his ear maybe changes his tune a little bit? Yes. At the same time, I mean it when I say I really do believe that we need somebody who's willing to fight, because we don't have that person right now. The Western world doesn't have that person right now, and so I appreciate the person that can be truthful.
Do you have political ambitions?
Not at this point. I think I could do it, and I think I could do it very well.
What?
Meaning, I think if I ran, I think I would do very well politically. And listen,
sounds like a yes to me.
No, it doesn't, because honestly, I don't know if I'd ever do it, to tell you the truth. It's, as a family, we've seen the nastiest world you could possibly imagine. We've seen them try and imprison people for doing nothing. We've seen my father charged with 91 felony counts for doing absolutely nothing wrong. We've seen them trying to impeach him.
He was convicted.
Yeah, and I was in that courtroom every single day, and it was a joke, especially as a person who lived so much of that case. He was
convicted by 12 ordinary Americans.
It was absolute legal lawfare, and you're seeing the whole thing get unwound as we speak.
He seems to have had to do a bit of defending of his vice presidential pick, of JD Vance, recently. Has he got a bit of buyer's remorse?
No, I don't think he has buyer's remorse at all.
I mean, you and your brother were, as I understand it, were very pro JD Vance, and maybe your father was more into one of the other options. But Vance is the candidate, and yet you seem to have done quite a bit of defending.
I don't think so at all. I think, first of all, I think there's no two people who are more aligned than my father and JD Vance on a lot of items.
But would you maybe have picked a different candidate had you realised that your opposition would be?
Oh, let me be clear. I'm not picking candidates.
No, you as in the Trump team.
No, I don't think so. I think my father really likes JD. I think he likes his positions. I think he likes the fact that he's youthful. He can carry the torch.
Is he the candidate that's going to attract women, though? I mean, that cat lady's comment. The country's being run by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. Pretty awkward comment for the vice presidential candidate to make, no?
You don't think I could go through Kamala Harris's comments? You want me to start going through those ones?
We can go through them with the Democrats.
The point is, you can do that to anything. I guarantee you I could pull up all your clips over the course of your career and find ones that were awfully embarrassing to you, right? So
fine, but that's a pretty weak argument. What I'm saying, I'm asking you about comments that that Team Trump's vice presidential pick made.
JD is an amazing guy. He's accomplished a hell of a lot more. He's accomplished a tremendous amount in life.
But he's not very popular with a lot of women, and I would imagine it's very unpopular now with women who struggle to have children.
You tell me, and you tell me on November 6th. I mean, time will ultimately tell. JD's.
So you stand by that comment?
I don't even know what the comment is. I don't know what it's referring to.
I mean, you can't pretend you don't know about it.
No. I'm just saying I don't know what the hell the context was with this comment. Do I think there are deranged people in the country? Yes, I think there are certainly deranged people in the country. But I know nothing about the comment. What I think JD will be a great vice president, and what I know is that we're going to win on November 5th.